Lost Time by mcsqueakers. Chapter 7. A Guilty Conscience. The door opened, revealing a young nurse who led the two fillies into the room. On the bed lay their mother, hooked up to several machines. The ambient noise of the beeps they would occasionally give off echoed throughout the room, adding to the tension of the situation. Slowly, Rarity led her sister to the side of the bed. Their mother had never looked so terrible in all her life. She was pale and sickly looking, while her breathing was labored. Her luxurious mane was now thin and falling out. Slowly, her eyelids fluttered as she opened to return her head to look at her two daughters. Her eyes carried dark bags underneath, as tears slowly trickled out from under them. Rarity lifted her sister up to sit on the bed into her mother's waiting arms. She nuzzled her filly before making her best attempt to raise herself a bit. "Sweet Belle," she weakly called out in a frail, shaky voice. Sweet Belle raised her head to meet the gaze of her mother. "Mommy, please don't go," she cried with all her might. "I'll be good, I promise. I'll do anything you say." They were quickly cut her off before pulling her in again for another hug. "Sweet Belle, there are some things in this world we can't change. We have to learn to accept them." The mayor was having trouble explaining the most difficult concept of equestria to her innocent filly, choking on every word. "There comes a time in every pony's life when we must return what we borrowed. Princess Celestia gave us all one great gift. That's the gift of life. I've reached the time when I must return that gift now." "But, Mommy, can you stay a little longer?" Sleepbell begged. "We can't choose when our time comes. All we can do is make the most of the time we have been given." She held her filly's head as she looked deep in her eyes. "I need you to be strong, Sweetie Belle. Your sister needs you just as much as you need her." "Okay, Mommy, I promise," she said, sniffling, her tears up. "I love you, Mommy." "I love you too, Sweetie Belle." The two gave each other one last hug as he motioned Rarity to come closer. "Mother, why you? Why now?" Rarity asked with tears in her eyes. "Rarity, you know I would give anything for just a little more time with you." She paused, swallowing the sadness that was building up in her. "It just has to be this way. I know it isn't fair, but we take what we're given." Rarity opened her mouth to express her displeasure, but quickly stopped herself. She found it would be pointless to argue, and she didn't want to spend the last moments of her mother being upset. I I understand. I need you to be strong, Rarity. You and your sister both," she said with urgency, feeling her energy slowly begin to fade. "I want you to take good care of Sweetie Belle." She paused as she took her Rarity's hoof in hers. "Promise me you'll look after her, that you'll raise her as your own, but you'll be a good sister to her." "I promise," Rarity said surely through her tears. She leaned into her mother and wrapped her hose around her as tight as she could. She motioned for Sweetie Belle to join them, lifting her back up to the bed, wrapping her hoof around her, to squeeze her into the group. "I love you, Mother. I love you too," she replied. "Sweetie Belle," she said weakly, "will you sing for me the lullaby? That one's my favorite." With a quick nod, Sweetie Belle cleared her throat and blew her nose before she started to sing. "Hush now, quiet now, it's time to lay your sleepy head. Hush now, quiet now, it's time to go to bed. Drifting off to sleep, exciting day behind you. Drifting off to sleep, let the joy of be." The constant tone of the heart monitor cut through the melody. "Mother! Mommy!" both unicorns cried in unison. "Mother! Sweetie Belle! I failed you both." Rarity sat in the chair with her head resting on the dusty table. She hadn't moved an inch or stopped crying since the guards took her sister. She didn't chase them down. What could she do against 3 winged guards? She could only lie on the table, broken down from her own guilt. "It's all my fault. If I hadn't been so selfish, if I hadn't forced Twilight to do that spell." A million thoughts raced through her mind, filling her guilt with every word. "I failed you." "Miss Sparkle?" inquired a royal guard with a stern voice. Twilight abruptly rose from the chair as she quickly roused herself from sleep. Huh? Yes, that's me, she responded, unable to completely focus on the armor-clad shape in front of her.
Your friend's being released. If you follow me.
Without reading a response, he walked down to the door to lead to the hallway cell.
Right here, Miss Sparkle.
He said, pointing her to a door. She walked inside. She saw Spike standing at a booth, filling out paperwork for an upcoming court date. She cheerfully bounded over to him, giving him a tight hug and quick kiss on the cheek. I'm so glad to see you, Spike. Well, Dwight, is everything all right? He asked, startled by her excitement. Oh, I'm sorry. It's just I've been so worried about you, she giggled. It's not easy when someone you've known that long is in jail. Well, I'm fine. How's your meeting with the princess go? Spike asked as they started to leave. Not as well as I thought it would, Twilight, she said in a disappointed tone. Gwen told me that she couldn't send me back to my time. What? Why? Spike barked, snorting smoke out from his nostrils. It's not what you're thinking, Spike. She actually couldn't, because the spell couldn't work for her. Twilight could tell by the look on Spike's face that he couldn't understand. It's complicated. So what now? Where does that leave you? Well, she said that Princess Celestia wanted me to find a secret archive, but she didn't leave much information about it or how to find it. Luna only said that Princess Celestia left clues for me to find it. Spike was disappointed with the answer, having come all the way to Camelot just for that simple information. Well, yeah, that's pretty disappointing. Well, yeah. She couldn't help but whisper her own response. But there's more. I didn't mean I found it yet as Sassy me in the sculpture gardens. What? Spike scoffed, astounded by the news. But he never held a ceremony or anything for that. It must be fairly new. Well, actually, I met somebody there. She said she would visit once since he was a filly. She was only a little younger than me. Twilight shook her head to stop herself from rambling. That's beside the point, though. I think the plaque had a clue on it. I think the next clue is in Ponyville with our friends. They continued down the road to the monorail station, stopping at the first bank to withdraw some bits to pay the fare. When they reached the station, Twilight was greeted by a familiar lobby. Its elegant decorum was all the more enjoyable, since she wasn't as frantic as she had been during her last visit. After they passed the toll gate, instead of heading straight to the platform, they headed to a set of steps that led to an overweight walkway to the other side of the tracks. As he waited for the next Ponyville-bound train, Spike began to recount his encounter with Sweetbell to Twilight. She thought you would be able to handle yourself out there. She didn't know about your condition. Still, why didn't she introduce herself? I know who she is, Twilight responded, disgusted with her irrational actions. She was afraid you were going to take her to the guards. I don't blame her either, Spike snapped, growling crazily defensive. She knew that we were going to see the princess. That and the fact that Camelot Central Station had more guards in it. Twilight was struck by his aggressive tone. Slowly, she lifted out her hovering mouth and chuckled. Oh, I see how it is. Well, she is Rarity's sister. So seeing this coming, Twilight began to giggle defensively at Spike. She was now confused by her sudden change in attitude. What's so funny? He snapped again, snoring smoke. Tell me something. How pretty was she? Twilight put on a cheesy grin, as he waited for Spike to get what he was insinuating. Spike's eyes sparkled as he began to think about her appearance. She was beautiful, but I don't see how... He paused for a moment, suddenly realizing the trap he played himself into. Quickly he reeled back, hiding his vibrant blush that glowed even through his thick scales from the giggling mirror. Hey, stop laughing! I have no idea what you're suggesting, he lied, poorly. I'm just teasing Spike, she said, wiping a tear from her eye. So, when's the wedding? Rainbow Dash tried joyfully to the office of her former squad mate. Saya was finally the one to invite her to talk after all these years. As she reached his office door, she busted in playfully. Hey, Soren, what's up? Rainbow Dash surprised to see a concerned headmaster talking with two royal guards.
Thank you, sirs.
He continued his conversation, after recollecting his thoughts before being interrupted.
Now, if you all will, I need a moment to talk with Captain Dash.
The two Pegasi nodded in unison as they turned and walked around to Rainbow Dash and out the door. Soren, what's going on? Dash inquired wearily.
Have a seat, Dash,
he said calmly, with a quiet ferocity that stung Dash's ears. Did I do something wrong? What's going on? Dash's eyes darted around the room, nervous about the news he was going to receive, before she realized just who she was. I'm Rainbow Dash, Captain of the Wonderbolts. I'm not on trial here. Des swung her in a chair and plopped herself down.
Listen, Sword. Got something on your mind?
Soren reached over to the desk and dropped an empty envelope in front of Des. She looked at him expectantly. He was only responded by giving her a head nod as he read it.
Uh, right. This has a return address, and it's addressed to Barrack 12, Bunk 4.
Des was having a little trouble keeping her cool.
Hey, Soren, I hate to break it to you, but unless you have a point, this doesn't interest me. For crying out loud, this thing is empty.
Des sneered, flicking the envelope back to the desk with her hoof.
Tell me, do you know who was at Barrack 12, Bunk 4? No. You assigned to barracks. I just managed the team.
Des scoffed, becoming increasingly annoyed.
If you had to guess. That's it. I'm out of here.
Des shouted, getting up to storm out the door.
I seem to recall you vouching for this student, saying she wouldn't let us down. Ringing bells?
Soren was becoming more fiercer without even raising his voice. Des winced at his response, turned her hoof still on the door to glare at the headmaster.
Scoots, is he alright? What's going on?
Des lost her act of being tough when she showed serious concern for her young friend.
Captain, this envelope was found in the home of a criminal.
Soren cleared his throat before continuing on.
The guards became investigating any leads to find any potential associates. In fact, this letter was found on the same pony who you invited to my facility to visit with her. For all I know, you're working with them.
Des looked around nervously, sweating bullets.
Oh, sure, you got me. This is a prank, right?
She asked frantically.
Please tell me it's a prank. Captain, I assure you this is no joke.
Soren stood up, moving towards the filing cabinet. He began flipping through the files before coming to the file he was looking at, pulling out.
The reason why I bring you here is because I know how much she means to you, but I don't appreciate you abusing my trust. So I'm leaving it up to you to try to appeal her inevitable suspension.
He said as he dropped the file on her desk. Jess moved to the desk to pick up the file.
But you know they won't let her stay after something like this. They'll force me to kick her out.
Tears were streaming out her eyes as he dropped the file back in front of Soren.
Well then, you say you won't do it, then I'll just turn her over to the authorities.
Soren said as he stood up with the file and hoof to retrieve the guards who were outside. Like lightning, Des stepped to the file and turned her head to hide the tears from her ex-squad mate.
Fine, I'll do this,
she hissed at Soren. Quickly, she turned back to head out the door, snoring as he passed the frame. She headed down the long hallway where the board was already waiting outside the meeting room. A sticky feeling hit Dash, like her wings had been clipped. No matter how hard she struggled, she could not regain her composure. Tears relentlessly flooded her vision as she walked towards the group of ponies that were now making their way in the room at the sight of her arrival. She began to follow them in.
Captain Dash, what the older reservists called out. It's a shame to see you under these circumstances.
So we just try to make this as quick as possible. She led Dash into the room as she moved to take her seat at the podium.
Have a seat if you will, Rainbow Dash.
I'll stand, she mumbled.
Very well, she continued. Captain Dash, you stand here today to appeal the suspension of Delta Squad member Scootaloo. Failing to gain our approval will result you in being the sole pony with the responsibility to carry forth her suspension. Do you understand the conditions?
Dash nodded agreement.
Very well then, present your case.
These charges are absurd, Dash blurted out. They found an envelope addressed to her from a criminal. Big deal. They don't have proof that she wrote back or even got the message.
Captain, our records show that you approved a visitor for Scootaloo. The visitor was later found with the envelope in her possession in the company of a wanton felon at the address specified. We also found that the pony was the felon's sister. How do you explain this?
It's just a coincidence, Dash argued, becoming frustrated. How do you know Scootaloo ever had the letter?
How does testimony from a witness sound?
What? Who? The senior member took a second to claim the seething pony, but had given the outburst before turning her attention back to Dash. We had testimony from an undercover royal guard who had been following the visitor. She said as he set the file in front of her. Rarity, I assume? Fine then, Dash responded in defeat. Who cares? You don't have any proof that she wrote back or had any contact with Sweetbell, and Rarity isn't a criminal. Sharing information with her isn't against the rules. The group turned quickly and began to whisper each other before they all turned back to Rainbow Dash.
Let the record show that Captain Dash knows the felon on a name basis, the senior member stated to the stenographer in the room.
Dash's face dropped at her slip-up. She knew things weren't looking good. Captain, regardless of whether she broke the rules or not, in did not have an investigation sully our proud reputation. We aren't looking for proof that she didn't break any rules here. That, with your testimony, we might be able to overlook. We are looking for definite proof that Skidoo isn't working with the criminal. We know that you go way back. That's not fair. You have no proof she is. Des, may I remind you, we're not a military organization. This is a private company, and I am here to represent the best interests of the company, not our friendship. She retorted. An investigation would be bad for business, which leaves me only one choice. Now, if you have nothing else to present, then I and the chairman of the board have come to my decision. Des can only turn her head away to concede her defeat. Without further ado, we hereby uphold the suspension of Delta Squad member Scootaloo. That, she stamped her gavel on the podium and stood, taking her papers before maneuvering her way over to Des. Look, Des, I'm sorry that this had to turn out this way, but at least with your testimony, the authorities have no grounds to arrest her. All that needs to be done is... I know what I have to do, Des interrupted. She wiped a tear from her eye to look at the beady eyes of the senior board member. Damn it, Spitfire! Yes, Skillet beamed with a smile across her face. Heller? She stopped herself when she noticed that Das had been crying. She noticed Das was out of her Wonderbolt's uniform, a rare sight for any pony. Das stood right in her way, blocking her path to the next class. Hey, what's wrong? Rainbow Das lifted her hoof and placed an envelope on Skillet's hoof. Wait, this is... she began, appalled to return the envelope. No! It was enough for them to make a decision. Das disclosed, turning her head to avoid eye contact with the young mare. Skillet, you've been suspended. The young mare dropped to her haunches, mouth agape in shock. He just reached over to let her a hoof, made her eye contact with her distraught Pegasus. She flared her wing to slap the hoof away. Without saying her word, she took off to her barracks, leaving a trail of tears in her wake. Fluttershy was getting restless. It had been far too long for Sweetbelle and Rarity to be out. She was concerned he might have gotten word, or worse, out in the blizzard. Against her better judgment, she decided she had waited long enough. Angel's daughter carefully wrapped Fluttershy's wing in a hoof and extra bandages to keep them warm, while Angel himself went to her closet to fetch her thickest coat. They had tried to stop her. Facing a determined Fluttershy was like trying to stare down a dragon. Ironically, something only she could do. She came to her front door. There sat warm snow boots waiting for her, but she slipped on one at a time. She looked as if she would be ready for a week-long Arctic expedition. With one final goodbye to her animal friends, she opened the door and hobbled her way down to the path. The weather had calmed down quite a bit since her last expedition, but the wind chilled her to the bone. She continued onwards, finally reached the edge of Ponyville. Ahead of her lay the white wasteland as far as the eye could see. It was actually shorter distance than she had expected. With a deep gulp, Fluttershy gained enough courage to press onwards, the possibility of her friends' lives being at stake. The trip was rather calm, but it hadn't been for Fluttershy's countless journeys to Whitetail Wood, she had probably gotten lost in the blizzard. She paced herself as best as she could, being cautious to not further injure her hoof or wing, but still making haste to find her friend. Fluttershy continued on, almost instinctively into the direction of Whitetail Wood. The area around Ponyville, including the ever-free forest and Froggy Bottom Bog, were crawling with wildlife, which gave her a reason to constantly visit. The whole area had become like a backyard to her. For long, she could see the edge of the wood, tall trees almost obscured by the snow that covered them. She began to pick up the pace, heading straight for the cottage. But she had seen it many times before. Every time she had dismissed it as abandoned. As she was approaching the rundown building, she could feel a strong chill run down her spine. Something wasn't giving her a good feeling about this place. The door hung loosely on its hinges, slapping the frame as the wind tossed it open and shut constantly. Reluctantly, Fluttershy moved to the doorway, catching the door with her shoulder to keep it from slamming in her face. Hello? She called into the dark building. Hearing nothing but the howling of the wind, she cautiously made her way in, straining her eyes to see the darkness. Fluttershy turned around to prop the door open with a loose stone, out of fear of the door slamming shut, locking her in. Just before she turned back towards the darkness, she could hear the sounds of sobbing, almost completely muffled by the howling wind. Hello? Is somebody there? Fluttershy called out again, moving her head and pivoting her ear to listen for the sounds. She heard more sobbing coming from the side of the room. Quickly, she made her way to the noise, being extra cautious to not bump into anything. As she reached the edge of the room, she could feel what it was like a tabletop. The sounds of sobbing were almost directly in front of her now. She alerted herself as she was almost face to face with the grieving pony when she recognized Rarity's eyes. Rarity! She squeaked, reaching over, shaking her. What's wrong? Are you all right? Rarity only began to mumble incoherently as she choked on her own sadness. Please, Rarity, it's me. Fluttershy, talk to me. Fluttershy was desperate to die and find out what was troubling her so much. All seemed to be going well before she left. Quietly, Rarity began to speak, only more coherently. Fluttershy was having difficulty making out what she was saying, but three words remained very prominent. I'm so sorry, she muttered over and over again. Fluttershy reached into her bags with a small lantern. She had packed in case of an emergency. It only had enough fuel to last a few minutes, and now seemed like a good time to use it. She pulled out the lantern, along with a book of matches, and sent them down on the table. She turned on the fuel to the lantern. A quick strike she lit the match, carefully setting inside to light the burner. Light filled the room as the fuel lit up. Fluttershy looked at Rarity, taking notice how awful she looked. Her eyes were bloodshot, and streaks of mascara ran down her face. Her mane was a mess, and her face was red from being in the cold for so long. Fluttershy, she weakly murmured, taking notice of her standing in front of her. Rarity, you're in trouble. What happened? They, they took her. It was all my fault. I'm so sorry, she rambled hard. What? Who took her? Fluttershy asked in shock. She could only assume Rarity was talking about her sister. The gods. I led them here. It's it's all my fault, she mumbled between sobs. First I couldn't comprehend how Rarity could do such a thing. She could only dismiss it as mindless rambling. Besides, something else had preoccupied her thoughts. Rarity began to shiver violently as her snout began to leak. She was getting sick, and the longer they waited, the more chance of hypothermia would set in. She frantically tore off her coat and threw it over Rarity's shoulders. Immediately she felt just how cold it was. Her main concern rested with Rarity, who continued to sob and ignore her personal well-being. Come on, Rarity. We need to get someplace warm, Fluttershy cried, tugging at her arm. Please, Rarity, come with me. It was no use. Rarity refused to cooperate. All of her will had left her, her muscles had shut down. At the back of her mind, she was no point to come look for her, so she could waste away there forever. She believed in fitting fate for her transgressions. Fluttershy began to flex her wings as she undid the sling over her arm. She knew what she had to do. She had no choice. Carefully, she rested her weight down on all four legs, wincing against every ounce of pressure she had put on an inch of hoof. Her wings stung with every flap, causing her to tear up at the pain. With all of her might, Fluttershy pulled Rarity over into her arms, causing her wings to hold herself up tight. She began to walk backwards while dragging Rarity into the doorway. With one mighty flap, she began to lift the distraught unicorn through the threshold and out into the blizzard. None of the pain mattered to her anymore. She seemed to be getting used to it, and the cold had helped numb to her nerve endings. She continued to fly back into the direction of Ponyville. She could feel the remaining warmth of Rarity's body slowly start to fade away. She had to push herself into overdrive if she wanted to save her friend. Her head swam with much pain and fear as she flew faster than she ever thought she could. Ahead of her, she could see the light of the moon punching through the dark clouds. She was getting close, just as she had to push a little harder. With every last effort, she pushed herself to the breaking point, tearing through the edge of a cloud layer with a trail of ice following her wake. Ponyfield General was the nearest facility in the area, but she attempted to take Rarity. She needed urgent care immediately. Fluttershy had no time to slow down. She burst through the front doors and into the lobby of a shower glass, tumbling to a stop in front of the counter. Once again pushed to the limit, she began to slip in and out of consciousness. Somebody, please, help, she called out with the last of her breath. Fluttershy awoke to a bright light shining in her face. Ahead of her, Nurse Tenderheart was eyeing a chart. Behind her were x-rays of her wings and legs, but she couldn't make it out if everything was in place. Slowly she tried to lift herself up. Rarity, she sighed, concerned about the fate of the unicorn. Nurse Tenderheart rushed over the side of the bed, carefully pushing Fluttershy back onto the bed. Hey, take it easy. You're in bad shape as it is. She let out a sigh, exasperated with the poor Pegasus' reckless abandon. Your friend is all right. She'll be running a fever for a while. You need your rest. You probably saved her life. Nurse Tenderheart reassured, but you might be long likely. She continued, you suffered severe nerve damage in your wing. I'm sorry, but you'd never be able to fly again. News came to shock to her. She racked her mind for a proper response to the news, where her head swam with pain. Her body's last instinct was to release that pain in a shower of tears. She vaulted her hose as the nurse could only stand and cried for the pain she was in. The monorail reached its destination, now rested at the platform of Plainfield Central Station. Fly and Spike both exited the train and made their way across the overhead walkway back to the exit gates. It was a relief to finally be home after their ordeal. Twilight was excited to go see Rarity or Fluttershy again. The only thing left to do was to find them. Together, they made their way to the library, the last place they had seen each other. As they approached the tree, they could all see the lights had been turned out, which wasn't a good sign that everybody was there. Still, they went in just to make sure. Girls, is anybody home? Twilight called out as Spike went around the room, lighting lanterns. I don't think anybody's home, Spike interrupted. Twilight continued to wait patiently for a response. Rarity went with Fluttershy, so I told Sweetbelle who to find. I bet you could probably find them at their cottage. Spike ascended up the stairs, just study as he slumped over, tired as ever. Aren't you coming? Twilight asked curiously as he watched Spike. Yeah, that's right. I've had a long day. I'm ready to just go to sleep. Ugh. Will you tell me how it goes? Hurry, Spike. Get some rest. With that, Twilight turned to go back out. Fluttershy's cottage seemed like it was swarming with activity, but it was always with the amount of critters she kept in around her home. Twilight knocked on the door and waited for her answer. To her surprise, the door opened to reveal an elderly-looking hare. He seemed just as surprised to see Twilight, rubbing his eyes in astonishment. He did his paw to suggest Twilight to wait there, walked over out of sight before coming back with a note in his paw, handing it over to her. Twilight quickly read the note, recognizing Applejack's chicken scratch writing. The note told her friends were in the hospital, and to head over there as soon as she got it. Twilight looked at Angel, concerned about the note. Oh my, are they all right? He responded by crossing his arms and tapping his foot to know that he was wasting time. Twilight hastily made her way to Ponyville General, seriously concerned about the well-being of her friends. As he approached the building, she noticed that the doors were smashed open as some worker ponies were busy sweeping up the glass that covered the floor. She carefully maneuvered her way around them, though cautious to avoid stepping on a stray piece of glass. She made her way towards the counter. Nurse Redheart, what happened here? She inquired worriedly. Twilight Sparkle. Well, she had time to catch up, but your friends requested you see them as soon as you got here. They're up on the second floor, rooms 207 and 209. Twilight gave a quick nod, before she hastily made her way up to the nearest staircase. She ran into Fluttershy's room first, appalled by the sight. Fluttershy was covered in bruises and bandages, as her wing was completely secured. Her eyes were bloodshot from tears. My goodness, Fluttershy, what happened? Twilight asked the shock as she made her way over to the side of the bed. Oh, Twilight, Fluttershy cried, wrapping her hose around the unicorn's neck. I got hurt trying to save Rarity. I'll never fly again. Twilight could feel the tears dripping out of her back as she leaned to return the hug. What happened? Is Rarity all right? Fluttershy sniffled as she tried to regain her composure. She'll recover, Fluttershy mumbled as she turned her head in sadness. But I don't know if she's all right. You should go see her. I'll be fine here. Took a gentle push to convince Twilight to go. She still wasn't convinced that Rarity got her attention more, but Fluttershy insisted. Twilight made her way into the next room to see Rarity sitting up in bed as Applejack stood on the side of the bed, holding her hoof. There were no machines hooked up to her, and other than her distraught appearance, she didn't appear to have any serious injuries. Rarity, what's going on? Twilight questioned, almost accusingly since Fluttershy was hurt and she wasn't. Rarity didn't answer. Instead, she just sat, staring off into space, occasionally whispering, I'm so sorry, to no pony in general. She's been like this since I got here, Twilight, so he hasn't said anything else. I'm real worried about her. Twilight moved in to see her presence to help the distraught unicorn. Rarity, what's wrong? Everything, was all she said.